Hey everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Above the Tree Line. We are here
You're going to
with
go on a limb and say it's going to be exciting?
exciting. I'm excited
We're
to be
talking
here.
about fasting and it's exciting?
Well, go ahead and give away the topic.
We're talking about fasting and it's exciting.
Are
Hi,
you
I'm
not-
Will and this is Lauren.
You're not excited to be here?
I'm so excited just to be with you,
So,
LT.
okay, so we have an exciting
We
day
have an exciting
planned.
day planned. Yes, we do.
This is an episode that I actually think there's a lot of people aren't super familiar with the topic. And I also think it's kind of like not taboo, but kind of like, whoa, that's for like the real
Yeah.
serious weirdo Christians.
Weirdos.
And
sure.
so what I want us to do is kind of talk about fasting in
Mm-hmm.
like the spiritual context, not like fasting for blood work, but fasting, what the purpose of it is, what is it exactly, why would anybody do it, and what does it yield? What results does it yield? So let's first start by fasting, in its true medical term, means not going without food.
Yeah. Just
So-
denying yourself food in a
Okay.
medical sense. Or in a medical sense, it's going without food for a certain period.
But
and
in
you
this-
can go 40 days before your body starts to consume itself. And so, I mean, it's over the top for some people, but you can actually live 40 days without food. You can't live that long without water. But medically, you can go that long because your body will survive.
So, but spiritual fasting isn't just in the context of food, right?
No, spiritual fasting can be all kinds of self-denial activities for a limited time for the purpose of spiritual pursuits. I haven't found one that's as effective as skipping my Snickers in the afternoon, okay? Not eating is the most effective fast I've experienced. But yeah, it can be a social media fast, it can be a TV fast, it can be an alcohol fast, it can be all kinds of things that people do for the sake of spiritual pursuit. And that's the Christian definition of this is you deny one thing to pursue a greater thing, and the greater thing is God.
So, if you're just doing the not eating thing and you're not spending more time on the word, is the whole point moot?
No, because the denial humbles you. You may not get the extra time in the Word, but it's the flesh crying out, and you're saying you're going to be fine. You're not going to die. I'd rather pray right now, or think about spiritual things, or just be humbled, than feed my flesh. Even if you don't get more time in the Word, like if you're fasting in a work day, it's hard to spend more time in the Word. But the humility of not eating is a really good discipline. So I'm a real fan of that. Just fast during a work day, and every time your stomach growls, thank God for His favor and His mercy, and ask Him to humble you. It's a great discipline.
So, this is going to be a silly question, but it popped in my head, so I'm going to say it anyways.
Lauren, there are no silly questions, just silly people.
Right.
So go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm one of those people. So, you're talking about denying yourself food for 40 days, your body will be fine. What really separates this from like a hardcore diet, like a cleanse?
Well, in a diet, you're still eating. You can fast hard, but it's the spiritual angle. It's very possible to do this simply for medical or weight loss reasons and not be pursuing spiritual activities and spiritual insights. When you're fasting, you wake up and say, God, today's yours. Speak to me. And you go through the day, and the days when you're fasting, the day slows down because you're hungry. Your mind is like, I can't do this, and it's driving you all day long to eat. And those battles humble you, and throughout the day, you're constantly talking to God. I'm doing this for you, Lord. Please honor this. And that's different from what happens in a cleanse when you're just not eating. And you're thinking about, I'm going to look really good in bathing
Right.
suit season.
Exactly.
Whole different
So,
approach.
it's the focus.
It's a whole different approach.
But would doctors actually even say this is a medically safe practice?
I think so, because
Go without food for 40 days.
Most of the really good books on fasting that I've read talk about check with your doctor first and make sure you're in a position to do this, because not everybody is. If you're taking medication that requires food or whatever, but I know 70-year-olds, late 70-year-olds who've done 40-day fast and thrived. They had to maybe do a smoothie once a day or something to get some protein in their bodies because they were older, but your body can handle this. And
So-
again, I'm not saying go 40 days.
Yeah, what's the significance? We keep coming to 40 days. Why do we go 40 instead of like 7?
You can do all the above. 40 is the longest Jesus went. It's the longest Moses went twice in a supernatural fast on Mount Sinai. And it's the longest you can go physiologically without hurting yourself. So that's why we put the limit on 40. But any fasting, I'm a fan, Lauren, of just waking up and not eating till 6 p.m. I will fast throughout the day and eat at dinner and just pray throughout the day. And that's great. That's not easy either. Because to get the really benefit of a fast from not being hungry, you got to go 2 or 3 days before your stomach kind of says, okay, I'm done for a minute, and you quit being hungry. But eating every day keeps your stomach awake. So if you don't eat till 6 p.m., you're going to feel hungry most of the day, unless you're really busy, and that's okay. But you can go a meal, you can go 3 meals, you can go a day. My first real significant fast was 5 days, and I was
That's
desperate.
just water only.
It was maybe water and juice. I don't remember. I've never done a water only fast. I'll allow myself orange juice or something like that in the morning, but it wasn't any food, and it was profound. There's a Daniel fast where Daniel
I've done
talks
that
about
before.
Daniel talks about denying himself certain types of foods, and those are great. It's hard to shoot at somebody who's trying to seek God by denying themselves something. So I'm not a real legalist on it has to be this kind of fast. If it's fasting to you, it's probably fasting.
Okay. Because I have a lot of questions now. I've done a fast, I think, 3 times in my life. And I'm not sure I've ever done it the right way. But the first time, it's because you told us to.
Well, that's a good reason.
And so I was like,
Mean
okay,
old
I'll be
pastor.
obedient. It's when you called all of ACF to fast.
Yeah.
And I did a fast where it was like I didn't eat until like sundown.
Yeah.
But then when sundown came, I could just binge on whatever I want. I could go to McDonald's. Not sure if that's the right way to do it, but I would like wait till 6 and then like now I'm going to consume everything
make
under the
up for
sun.
the last 8 hours.
Yes. And then the next time I did a fast, I did a Daniel fast.
Mm-hmm.
That was hard for 40 days. That was
You did a Daniel fast for 40 days?
yeah, it was
Good for
really
you.
hard.
That's hard.
It was when my son was, I think, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4. And then the last time I did a fast, it's because I was waiting for God to do something that I thought was his will. And I fasted.
I remember this.
And he didn't do it.
I remember this.
Which I
Yep.
was like, what did I even just do all that for? So put a pin in that. You said earlier the most effective fast that you've had. What makes a fast effective?
A breakthrough, hearing God. At the end of that 5-day fast, I had a vision, which I don't have, about myself that was unbelievably profound. God showed me a picture of my inner psyche and strongholds in my psyche. And I don't think I'd seen that. I would have seen that without the 5 days of seeking Him. And it changed my life. I still see that and have talked about it publicly. So I think when I went 40 days one time, and it kind of lost its charm after about day 30. I had some real breakthrough on day 30, and I was like, then I'm just done, and I got 10 more days of this thing. But I did it, and I honored God with it, and sometimes that's all there is. But we've had very effective day-long fasts.
So effective meaning you hear from
You
God.
hear God, you feel His presence, you feel His pleasure, you see results, you see breakthrough, you get answers.
But that could happen without fasting as well.
It could, but you don't know. I mean, I think it's always good to turn the heat up. If you're praying for something and you're not getting it, I think it's good to take it to the next level. And I think taking it to the next level involves denying yourself and saying, God, I mean business about this. And we know you do, so here we go. So we're going to turn the heat, because that Daniel passage talks about the breakthrough that was sent, but they got delayed because of demonic resistance. And it was Daniel's humility that got them through. Daniel's prayers and humility that caused the breakthrough. And so sometimes my prayers aren't going to be enough. I need to deny myself and fast to break open the spiritual realm so things can happen. So it's just like a really hot fire from prayer, and you're pouring gasoline on the fire with fasting. That's what it's like.
So first of all, is there a biblical commandment to fast?
No, Jesus said, and when you fast.
So he was
speaking, it's in Matthew 5, I think, but he's speaking into, maybe Matthew 6, he's speaking into a Jewish culture that fasted every day. So he's just saying, in your religious practice, do it this way. I don't know that there's an actual biblical command to fast. I don't feel that. But there's a lot of Old and New Testament scripture that talks about the effectiveness of it. And so I think we in the Western culture are a little behind the curve on this one. Fasting is a normal thing in a lot of cultures around the world in Christianity. And I think we are a little lightweight on this one. We don't like it. And I think we're missing some things because of it.
Would you say it's because we just don't like going without?
I'm not going to cast that on everybody, but I think we are bred to feel entitled, and we move pretty fast. And what fasting does is slow you down. It slows your world down, and we don't do that well. It's hard to be in a hurry and be on a fast. It just slows your thought process down, which is good. You're more humble. And so I don't know that we fly that way here in the States. And to the Christian listening to this podcast, if you can build, I've got a friend I know here in the city who's fasted a day a week. He fasts every Wednesday since middle school. Just built into his life, still does it. And it's just a practice. Every Wednesday he just doesn't eat. And he just humbles himself before the Lord and prays and seeks God. And he's been doing it for 40 years, 50 years now, which is really cool. I don't do that.
You know, I just remembered when we did the Daniel fast, it was during, I feel like it was during Lent.
Maybe.
That 40 days.
Yeah.
So there
It just felt like 40.
yeah. There was, like growing up, I had a lot of Catholic friends, and like during Lent, that period between Fat Tuesday and Good Friday, they wouldn't eat meat on Friday. Is that a form of a fast?
It's denial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they all ate tuna fish. That's what I remember. They're like, well, we can't eat meat, so we're going to eat tuna fish
But
on
Lauren,
Fridays.
I think you'll look at this the wrong way.
Yes, because I'm trying to understand it.
So think about Mary opening up that vial and dumping it all over Jesus, and it was a life savings for her. What can I give up today to tell the Lord how much I love him? I'd rather have you than this. That's what fasting is.
Does he need you to do that, though?
You need you to do that.
Okay.
You need you to do that. You do it for you. He didn't need to be anointed by Mary for his burial, but he was honored that she did it. She needed to do it. She needed to humble herself in front of all those people and say, this is how I feel about Jesus. So it's really good for me to set aside some things I really want and care about and I'm used to in my lifestyle to remind myself there's a higher thing here and I'm going to pursue him today. So I'm not going to eat. I love food and I'm okay being hungry today, which means it's going to affect my workout schedule. It may affect my productivity. That's all fine. I'm going to pursue him. I've got a friend who fasts the first week of every year. I've got friends who fast the first month of every year. And they're like, you're worth it. I kind of want to set this thing off on the right way. And so let's not be afraid of this discipline. You can do it. And it's more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
Our
Well,
friend-
what
yeah.
I was going to say about the Lent thing was I had people in my inner circle who are not Catholic, not Methodist. Like we didn't grow up giving up something for Lent because it was like Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice every Lent. I don't know if that's true or false, but we just didn't grow up doing anything for Lent. So then when I started that 1 year fasting for 40 days at Lent, people were like, whoa, like, you're Catholic now? Like, what is this? There was kind of like a weird, and these were Christians who were just like, it's really not necessary. But there is kind of like this stigma where it's like, you seem to be going overboard.
You won't find that in other parts of the world. You may find it here. You are being extreme. You're over the top. I mean, really. But in third world countries, in other countries around the planet, it's so normal. And you're weird if you don't fast. Fasting's just part of how they roll. And so I think that's an American, let's not take this so far mindset that's really driven by our appetites and honestly our spiritual laziness, our spiritual lethargy. There are some things worth not eating for, and Jesus said some of these don't come out but by prayer and fasting. So there's some battles we're going to fight that require both. And if I'm praying and I'm not getting breakthrough, then I'm going to add fasting to it. And it was modeled by my Lord. It was modeled by the disciples. Acts 13, while they were praying and fasting, the Spirit said, start missions.
Yeah.
Pretty common. Priests fasted a week before they were anointed for the priesthood in the Old Testament.
So praying and fasting in the Bible seems to go like hand in hand.
Yeah.
What is the link between praying and fasting?
You pray. It may take a day. I pray more effectively and I worship more passionately when I'm fasting. We did a fast here. It was that 40-day fast we did how many years ago. And I remember going to a prayer meeting at one of our communities, other churches, on day 3 and worshiping with them. And it was like, I just was lit up. Like it was just, I was so anointed in praying. And you just pray with a ferocity because some of the flesh, it's like taking off your warm-up suit so you can run faster. That's what fasting does. It just takes off some of that fleshly stuff and the concerns about whatever so you can run at a whole new level. And if there's I'm sure Christians listening to this who've never experienced that next level.
Right.
You can do it. Go a day. Don't eat till 6 p.m. or don't eat for 24 hours or whatever, and see what happens to you spiritually. And you may have to go more than a day and work up to it. Do a day, then do 2 days, then do 3 days. By day 3, and the point is, God's worth this. It may take a minute. Your spirit is going to move at a slower pace. By day 3, your world's going to change. You're going to see things in a whole new light. You're going to have insight and discernment and joy and perspective you didn't have at noon day one. But you have to fight to get there, and it's worth it.
Do you think the most effective form of fasting is denying yourself food? Because I also know people who say, like, I'm fasting from alcohol, I'm fasting from social media. They'll say, like, food is not as big of a distraction for them as these other earthly things are.
It is the most effective for me.
Okay.
Because it is my flesh always wants to eat. So it's going head on against my flesh and just saying, you'll be fine, and I'm not going to let you control me. There are spiritual things more important than me eating today. And so for me, the biggest appetite is the physical, let's eat one. That's the one I got to go after. I can fast from other things, but I'm not really sacrificing if I'm eating. So I got to not eat.
So I know at ACF right now, there's several of us who are doing a fast. You'll remind us of the days, but it's like we're fasting this day because we are waiting for incredible breakthrough. We're waiting for healings. We're waiting for incredible movements of God. What do you say to those people who are being obedient and they're fasting? And what if the breakthrough doesn't come? Like, was it all for naught?
Yeah, he's worth it, is what I'd say. You're gaining access you may not have otherwise. He's moving somewhere. Bill Johnson loves to say it's impossible to pray and have God not work. Now, he may not be moving where I'm asking him to move, but if I'm praying and fasting, he's working. He's working somewhere. We had a prayer meeting for a person here in the church a year or two ago, and without the person's knowledge, we prayed all day for this person, and somebody came to that prayer meeting and got healed. We weren't praying for that person. But in God's presence and in the power that was there, he got healed of something he'd had for 20 years. And it was like, oops, but we'll take it, So if you're praying and fasting, God's working. But the biggest thing is you gain the insight, you gain the humility, you gain the love, you gain the insight to sin that you may not have. Again, I saw a vision of myself. I'll just tell you what it was. Let me see if I can get it right. The top, I saw Enchanted Rock.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, I saw Enchanted Rock, and the top portion was lust. Just a lustful thought life. And that was a covering and a fruit of level 2, which was pride. Hey, look at me, I'm Will Davis. The bottom level was insecurity. That was the bedrock. You're just insecure. And it's led to this lustful, proud lifestyle. And that devastated me. That was day 5. I was
That's
like,
horrible.
I'm driven.
Like, great, I'm pagan swine.
So let's go after my insecurity. Well, it changed my life. I guess sitting on my wife said, let me tell you what the Lord showed me. I got to deal with my insecurity. It's driving all this stuff in me. That was breakthrough. And it was not given it was not a bad thing. It's like, oh, that explains so much. I'm insecure. I need to ask God to heal that. And by the way, all my friends are going, duh. You didn't need to do a 5-day fast. We could have just told you.
Right?
No, it was such a huge thing for me. I don't get that sitting eating a bowl of Cheerios in the morning, reading the Wall Street Journal.
So I think I've told this story before, but I was waiting for breakthrough on God, and I was so certain that my will was aligned with His, and that I knew what He wanted to do in my life. And so I fasted, and I was like, I'm going to fast until breakthrough comes.
But this is the breakthrough I want.
Right. I'm almost like, God, this is what I want to happen. I'm going to fast to show you how serious I am about it. But then when God didn't do it, I was like, gee, well, but I realized that I was going into it almost like a quid pro quo. I'll give you this, you give me that. Very transactional.
Oh yeah, that's good. That works.
I just missed it, but I fasted. I was very I won't say religious about the fast, but that verse that you read in Matthew 6, where He's like, when you do fast,
and when you fast,
don't look gloomy. Don't
wash your face, brush your teeth.
Don't tell people you're fasting. Are you supposed to keep your fast a secret?
I think if you're fasting in a community, it's great to talk to each other about it and encourage each other. I think that there's plenty of people who fast on a regular basis that if I'll say, hey, you want to eat lunch? And they'll go, no, I'm going to leave it there because they're probably fasting. But when you declare a community fast, I think it's great to say, hey, we're all in this. Let's support each other and encourage each other because it gets hard. Mm-hmm. But if you just feel called to fast alone, don't tell anybody. Just fast. Mm-hmm. Can I recommend a book?
Yeah.
For all of you guys who want to read more about this, Art Wallis, Wallis, he's amazing, wrote a book called God's Chosen Fast. And it's out of Isaiah 58. And it's a great practical primer on how to get started. You consult a physician, start small and work big. Daniel fasts, what you can drink and not drink. And it's just a real grace-filled, here's how to get started. And I've read it multiple times, and for me, it's the go-to book on fasting. God's Chosen Fast, Art Wallace, Wallis. And then pray. I used to pray for God to make me hungry to fast. Lord, give me a hunger, so I want to fast. A hunger for you that trumps my hunger for food. And that always helps. Just pray that it won't be that big a deal. And when we did the fast back in December for Breakthrough in our church, I got so many emails from people saying, I had no idea. This is so cool. I've had the sweetest day with God. So give it a try.
Okay. So you
Give
can
it a try.
You can testify that it's been
Oh, yeah, 100%.
a good experience.
Hard.
You
Worth
come
it.
closer to God.
Worth it.
And you see breakthrough.
Yeah.
More often than
100%.
not. Okay. Awesome.
100%. Give it. It should be normal for Christians, and it's just not in the Western world.
Yeah.
But you're not going to die. Your brain's going to tell you you're going to die. You're not going to die. You'll be fine. Give it a shot.
First day of that 40-day fast, I really did. I fell asleep in church at ACF Lake Travis. Chris Tapkin was preaching, and I was
tell
like,
Tapkin that.
I was like, this is the worst. I'm so tired. So like, I was like, thank God when they said pray, because I was like,
Yeah,
I just
you're
conked out. First day was the worst. All right. Well, thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
answering
Great
all of
topic.
my questions.
Great topic.
Yes. And thank you guys for continuing to send us your content. We love your questions. And I actually have a lot of the same questions that you guys do. So please keep them coming at acfellowship.org/podcast. If you would, we would love for you to leave a review for us, either on your podcast platform, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next week.